My God, scared me. just because you're so stunningly beautiful. I've just never seen something quite like it before. It literally stunned me. My heart stopped for a second. Oh my God. Give me a second. Okay. All right, everybody. I think this is the first time in the new studio. I'm a little lightheaded from being shocked. Give 1 sec. I need another second. Holy shit. I'm spinning. I figured today, since it's a little gloomy outside, I thought it'd be fun to read some creepy encounters, some spooky Reddit stories. So let's get into it. Something my neighbor said still haunts me. Even though this was almost 10 years ago now, I have never been able to get this out of my head, so I thought I'd post it here. I was about 11 or 12 years old, living in an apartment with my mom. Right across from our apartment was a very creepy neighbor. I could write a whole book about all the creepy, wild, and downright insane things he said and did throughout the 2 years he was our neighbor. But this was something that stuck with me more than anything else. Okay, I'm scared. My mom and this neighbor were having a casual conversation with each other, with my mom's goal being to try to find some common ground with him and clear up any misunderstandings or miscommunications that may have led him to dislike us so much, as he had a pretty blatant feeling of disdain towards us. But evidently, something went wrong during this conversation, as my mom suddenly came stomping into our apartment, loudly shutting and locking the door. She was visibly upset and shaken, so I asked what's wrong. Her voice trembled. She said that our neighbor said this completely unprompted. Quote, "You know, if I were you, I'd keep your daughter away from guys like me." Unquote. Call the police. Oh my God. Now, while I will never know exactly what he meant by this, my mind definitely had plenty of ideas of what the he meant by this. At the very least, it felt like a thinly veiled threat. And the worst part was I was often home alone, as I did online school while my mom went to work. So from then on, I never felt safe when I was home alone, as my imagination ran wild on what he might end up doing to me. Now, I never thought I would say this kind of thing, and I feel a little guilty about it. But thankfully, he ended up dying before he ever did follow through on his creepy ass comment. What are you gonna do? You know, sounds like God took it into his own hands. You know what I'm saying? Also, before anyone asked, my mom only told me about this because she wanted to warn me to stay the fuck away from him. Fair enough. That makes sense. And to never do anything like keep the door unlocked. She didn't have to tell me twice. Yeah, that's just good parenting. It's just like, this guy's creepy as and he's making threats. Like, don't ever take that lightly. That makes sense as a mom. But also, like, that's a threat. I feel like you can tell the cops about that or something. I mean, he's dead now, so whatever. But I'm glad nothing happened. I'm glad he's dead. And yeah, that's about it. What do the comments say? Very creepy. Glad you're okay. Definitely still packs a punch every time I think about it. Thanks for the supportive comment. Another comment says, I'm so sorry you and your mom had to deal with that. That's so scary for you both. It's frightening to think that to some people, women are prey. I can't imagine how scared you both were. Your mom having to go to work and leaving you alone and trying to learn and not feeling safe. I'm glad he's dead too. Please don't let that creep take any more peace from you. Yeah, creepy nonetheless. Let me know if you guys have any like creepy stories like this, but let's move on to the next one. I'm glad everyone's safe in this scenario. All right, someone came to my house in the middle of the night with my name on a single piece of paper. At like 3 a.m. one night, someone rang the doorbell at my house and my dad answered it. It was a woman wearing a full black dress with her face slightly covered. She had a very large suitcase and she had a piece of paper with my name on it. Just my first name on a piece of paper. And she was asking if I lived here. My dad was freaked, so he said no and directed her to the police station around the corner. Good call on your dad's part. But what does this mean? Why did she have my name? How did she know my address? The piece of paper had just my first name on it, which is even more terrifying. When my dad said that I didn't live here, she seemed really confused and just walked off. At 3 a.m. in the morning though, can someone explain this because I am really scared and don't know what happened? That's a woman in a black dress fully covered. What? Sounds like somebody put a hit out on you to like the fucking ghost. What? I don't even know what you do in that situation. I'm glad your dad thought on his feet and said, go to the police station where you should go because you're crazy. I don't know. I would report it for sure. Again, like I just call the cops, tell them, and maybe they can't do anything about it, but I would just like put it on their radar. So if it happens again, then you could be like, she's back. Gosh, that is so odd. Very, very, very strange. I don't know what I would do in that situation. First comment said, maybe let's talk about why your dad is opening the door to a random stranger at 3 a.m. OP said, literally no idea why he did that. I definitely would not have. Male things. Women, I feel like no woman would do that. No woman with something in the back of her head saying, don't do that, that's dangerous. But I mean, your dad might have thought she was in trouble or something like that, like she was in a crash or like something happened, which, can always be bait for something, which is also bad. So I would never open the door, but maybe your dad's just a good person, thought she might have needed help. Another comment said, feel free to not answer any of this if it makes you uncomfortable, but how old are you? How old was the woman? Do you have any surveillance? I've heard secondhand stories of people doing this literally just to freak out strangers. They'll use a random name and go to random houses in the witching hour hoping they'll get lucky. So maybe it's nothing, but I would still file a report. Who has that much time on their hands? That was my go-to. Someone hire that lady to terrify you, and seriously, that would have worked on anyone. Geez, that is creepy. Oh, OP said, oh my god, if it was an enemy, that's terrifying, but apparently this lady looked like distressed and confused or something. Interesting. Yeah, maybe this is like the Fringe or something. Maybe she's a time traveler and she was gonna warn you about something. Probably not that logical, but maybe she's an alien. What do you guys think? I don't know. I hate it though. I'm sorry this happened to you. Moving on. I might have met a serial killer. This is my wheelhouse, and I hope you didn't, but let's see. I was a teen runaway heading back home to Washington from Montana on February 25th, 1997. I had 2 male companions, also teen runaways, with me, and we had stopped at Quartz Flats campground rest stop in Montana for a break from our drive. Let me just tell you, 1997. There's a few serial killers running around at this point. There's a serial killer that is still not caught that was believed to be a truck driver at this point. There was the Green River Killer was around there. Yeah, there was a few running around. So this is and at campgrounds and rest stops. Tell you what. Anyway, I could barely see the road to I-90 when I saw a man carrying a little boy hitchhiking. My first thought was he was an idiot parent endangering his child, and that poor kid shouldn't be in a blizzard. It never occurred to me to wonder where his car was located. I picked them up so the boy wouldn't freeze. The man never offered any information about where he came from or where he was going. The man also did not realize when I picked him up that I had 2 teen boys in the back of my van, and he became unnerved and began speaking in this maniacal fashion about buying a boat in Arizona. Where you get a good boat? Arizona. Do you know why? There's no ocean, so they sell them cheap. Sounds like he's just got pretty good advice, honestly. I was relieved when he turned to the boys in the back of the Plymouth Voyager and began talking to them so I could tune him out and concentrate on driving. The man had curly brown hair with a devil's lock in the front. Devil's lock? Now I need to look that up. This is like what a devil's lock is, apparently. I guess just like a piece of hair that comes down, essentially, and a scar on his upper lip and his chin. The boy appeared to be between 2 and 4 years of age, wearing a blue coat, red or blue warm-up pants with either an offset red or blue seam on the pants, and light-colored boots that resembled construction boots. The boy would not look at any of us, nor did he turn to the man for comfort, just looked down at the floor and didn't move from the man's lap. I felt bad for him, thinking he must be so scared of us. I'm trying to think of cases that I've heard of. 1997, a boy. Oh my god, I hope this man didn't take this boy. Oh my gosh, this is gonna break my heart. Oh my god, okay. They were not with us very long, and the man asked to be let out at a gas station in Superior, Montana, and that was the end of that interaction. There was the I-90 serial killer. I don't believe he was, or was he caught? I don't believe he was. He's known for taking women, not boys. Anyway, sorry, I'm gonna keep talking. In 2017, I found true crime, and it made me reflect on 17-year-old me and the terrible risks I took hitchhiking and picking up hitchhikers. I had a few disturbing rides, but the one that sticks out most was the hitchhiker and the boy. On a whim, I googled serial killers, I-90, and missing children. I remember the man looked like one of my hometown attorneys, very distinctive eyes. I didn't really believe I would find any likely offenders until I did. My heart dropped when I saw the devil's lock and the scars on his lip and chin, and even more when I found a video he posted online, his maniacal voice, style, and tone matching the boat guy, Joseph Duncan III. I've not heard of him. Okay. The worst part was that there was a little boy that went missing in the same region 2 days prior. I connected with his aunt, and she connected me with the FBI because I had provided a detail they hadn't made public. If you've ever researched Duncan, you know that he was one of the worst human beings ever. He had a court date on the same day I would have picked him up. Coincidentally, his birthday, and there was no record of him showing up for that court date. There was a warrant issued for his arrest in 1997 for missing a court date, and by April, he absconded and ended up in California, where he took the life of another young victim. I wrote him a a letter and he wrote back and stated that he was not the man I picked up, but that I was very brave for picking up a hitchhiker. The letter is the weirdest thing I've ever received in the mail. Here's a link to the letter. What? You wrote him a letter? Whoa. Nice to meet you. I got your letter a couple of weeks ago, so I'm sorry about not being able to write back sooner. It takes some time for me to get a new address approved and then print the required mailing label, especially when one of the only 2 label printers here is broken. They finally got it fixed just a few days ago at least. I hope you don't mind, but I asked my attorney to Google you and he found whatever, which seems interesting. Sorry about all the smiley faces, but my girlfriend says I sound too serious in my letters the way I write, so I'm trying to lighten the mood. I'm not very serious in my own head at all. Since you are a blank provider, let me get a piece of business out of the way right off. In your next letter, will you please confirm that you will not use anything I send you or quote me or otherwise publish or broadcast any past of our communication without first getting express and specific permission from me in writing. He doesn't deserve any sort of privacy. This is not to say you can't use material from me. It is just so I'll know exactly how and when you use it. If you do, thanks. You may have read it in the fifth nail blog that I don't do or have never done interviews for popular mass media, which is still the case, but I don't mind sharing my thoughts and experience with someone like you who is genuinely interested in understanding their world, not mine so much, in hopes of affecting some change by doing so. It just goes on. He just kind of rambles throughout it, but basically just says what she said. Like he says that he didn't get picked up by her. And she says, one more thing, I was looking into the timeline of Duncan. I reached out to the 2 teenagers that were with me at the time. They both said that it could be him based on the photos and in the video, but they couldn't be 100% sure. They said the creepiest part was when the man turned around to talk to them, he had said, "You're not buying any of this bullshit, are you?" And then he asked to be let out at the next town. I need to look this person up right freaking now. Oh God, he is creepy. I did some dumb shit when I was 17, but you would not catch me picking up this crazy motherfucking guy. Holy crap, what the fuck? But it's just a different time, you know? Like late 90s. It's just, we know not to do it now, but I don't blame this person for picking him up necessarily. Just don't do that. I don't know if I feel like you did pick him up. That's scary. That is so scary. And gosh, as soon as you said he was carrying a little boy, that just, oh my gosh. You just don't know though. You can't blame yourself for anything, but looking back, I mean, hindsight's 2020. Oh my God. I'm glad you're okay and everything, but I can't even imagine like just thinking back and being like, oh my God, like I could have done something, or I could have, that could have been this person. And then he wrote you a letter. Oh my God. Comments say, I wonder what happened to the little boy. OP said, we wonder as well. One of the comments from my male friends was that we probably could have taken this guy, but we really didn't know what was going on. We knew he was creepy, but he was also an adult and we didn't know what to make of the situation. The comment under that says, you guys were kids, but older than that child. The man could have been a kidnapper or a crappy parent. Had he been the kid's father, you don't want to get arrested for beating him up and taking his child to the police station or hospital. It's good you had friends you could trust. Some people wouldn't have stopped. When I was 17, I picked up a woman hitchhiking. I was scared, but she was nice. And on the way to the mall, I was worried some guy would kidnap her. She's older than me. I've hitchhiked since then. Hopefully that guy wasn't a serial killer or kidnapper. You didn't do anything wrong and you were kind. I'm suspicious of people that suddenly get freaked out when they realize a person isn't alone. That's also cool that you confronted a serial killer to make sure you didn't help them abduct a child. You're a good person. But yeah, that's a very scary moment. Again, I don't know what I would do in any of these situations. It's like different time. You're young, naive to what the world can be and what people can do. I don't blame this person at all. And they're just remembering something and then realizing what that could have actually been. It just sucks. I feel bad for this person. I'm just like, ugh. But I mean, maybe it wasn't him, but it really sounds like it was. Well, let me know what you guys think, or if you guys have any stories like that. We'll read one more. All right. I, 24 female, think I'm being stalked, and I can't tell by how many people. My brain had to register. I can't tell by how many people. How many people are stalking you? What? Reposted to break up text wall. Burner account, obviously. I know the title sounds paranoid, but please bear with me. I work full-time at a public university in the US as an office manager, and I'm enrolled in grad school at the same institution. I graduate this May. I have in-person night classes 3 days a week that start right after I get off work. My apartment is on the first floor of a complex about 10 minutes away. Over the past few months, I've had numerous bizarre occurrences around my home home and workplace. The first, to my knowledge, was in September and was something my neighbor across the hall, very sweet older woman, told me. A man was banging on my door for around an hour just after midnight. I was not home. My God. My neighbor poked her head out to ask him what was going on, and he said he was a door dasher with no food or bags in hands, apparently. My neighbor watched him through the peephole and told me he tried the doorknob multiple times. No ring camera or anything, so no footage. As far as I know, he didn't come back, but I've also had 3 or 4 instances over the several month period where someone knocked on my bedroom window, blackout curtains always closed, late at night, loud enough to wake me up, and my tiny dog never saw who it was. Oh my God, it's freaking terrifying. In October, a woman came to my sliding glass door about a month later demanding to come in because her stolen device had apparently been pinging in my apartment. When I refused, she called the sheriff's department. The deputy came, asked me a couple questions and left, but did confirm that a device was pinging in my apartment. What? Never found out if she meant a phone or what. The woman hung out in the parking lot before leaving a few minutes later. Obviously, I've never stolen any phone, so I was completely bewildered. Never saw her again. In December, things came to a head when I found a plug-in GPS tracker in the OBD port under my dashboard. What? Our dealership where it got serviced last said they didn't use that brand, Land Air Sea, and yes, I have a model and serial number, and didn't perform any services that would have warranted putting it in there. I called the cops and they just wrote down a few details and left. And university police were also informed since the tracker was probably placed either on campus or at my apartment. The tracker was the biggest red flag. Oh my God, yeah, I can't even imagine. I never checked my OBD port, so I have no idea how long I was there. I told my unit director and he offered to subtly remove mentions of me around the office and on the website, which I accepted. I am, however, posted up at the office front desk for like 80% of my day. This past Tuesday, right before I left for lunch, a middle-aged man came into the office wearing a hairnet, surgical mask, hoodie, and sunglasses. Oh my God! I would assume he's gonna murder someone. He claimed to be a prospective student and had questions about FAFSA. Weird fit to wear inside, but okay. He was extremely hard to understand. I directed him to the financial aid office across campus, and he kept asking questions that our office cannot answer. I thought, sure, fine, maybe harmless and just not all there mentally. He walks over to the coffee machine, not for communal use, by the way, but I didn't want to be a bitch, and just starts making coffee. He's still there when I leave, and one of my staff watches the desk while I'm out. When I return from lunch, he's gone, but walks in after a few minutes later and just sits in the lobby on his phone before getting up to leave almost immediately. I was off work Wednesday and Thursday, so I came in Friday. I felt like giving my mostly undergrad staff a break, so I gave them permission to head home early, inadvertently leaving me alone in the office. God. The man came back wearing the exact same clothes, mask, hairnet, and sunglasses within 5 minutes of the office clearing out. Our office is technically open to the public, but isn't really public facing, and he had no reason for being there, especially that late in the day. Call the police! He came in, barely acknowledged me, and said he was going to bring back bottled water for our coffee machine. He left again. I'm very creeped out by this, so I messaged my director, working remotely, and he got an IT guy from the adjacent building to come over with his laptop to keep me company. Smart cookie. I explained the situation, and he said he'd stay with me till close. He settles in my director's office just around the corner, but it still looked like I was alone. Oh, interesting. The man does come back without water and leans against the desk trying to start a conversation with me. IT guy comes around the corner and stands between me and him, and he quickly changes the subject and asks about financial aid again, for the 4th time in as many days, before being directed away and leaving immediately. I'm strongly considering informing campus police about this. Like I said, they already know about the tracker. I have had problems in the past during my undergrad years at a different institution with men and a woman being creepy towards me, but nothing to this level. I've had no idea what to do. I can't tell what's isolated and what's connected. My family lives an hour away and has been no help at all. I have a sinking feeling that things are going to escalate. Any advice on what I should do or change at home, work, or elsewhere is appreciated. I'm open to further questions. I mean, absolutely tell campus police, but I would even tell, I guess the regular police know about the tracker at least. I would absolutely tell the campus police and tell them to keep an eye for this person. I mean, they're all completely covered, so you don't know. And absolutely would never I would say I cannot work in this office alone. Like, you will not. That is not safe, especially given this scenario, given there's a tracker in your car and all this stuff. This is so creepy. I have no idea what's happening in so many different people. It's so strange. I would say, like, leave your job, leave the city, all this stuff. But you said that it happened in a different place before. Is it the same people? I don't know. This is really difficult. Extremely creepy. But I would just let the authorities know everything, even if you think it's dumb. At this point, enough things are happening where it could lead to something else. And it sucks your family's not helpful either. But yeah, the hairnet's what's tripping me up, because it's like sunglasses, mask, maybe. I mean, these sunglasses are weird too, but a mask, you could assume nowadays like somebody's sick or something if they're wearing a mask. But like the hoodie, the hairnet, the glasses, and it seems like he just really wants to conceal himself, and something bad was going to happen. So I'm so glad you got the IT guy to come over. Comments say the invisible man, which is the guy with the hairnet and hoodie and stuff, is highly suspicious, and you should definitely report him. Mask, hairnet, hoodie, and sunglasses is a non-public area and not giving good reason to be there is a huge cause for concern. I suggest a doorbell and dash cam camera for sure, absolutely, and get someone you trust to walk you to and from your car at work, absolutely, especially at night. Oh my god. The random woman incident may or may not be related, but you did the right thing to remain cautious. The window knocking could also just be idiots, but again, you are right to ignore it just in case. Or yeah, I see what you mean. I was like, she's not ignoring it, but ignoring them, like, don't open the curtain. Absolutely, definitely don't do that. Other comments say buy security cameras or ring cameras for the front door. Tasers are cheap on Amazon, and there's companies that sell knives disguised as pen or combs. Yeah, just protect yourself as much as you can, I guess. Yeah, I have several of those. You might also want to check out those devices that reveal or ping on electronics secretly placed in apartments or houses to record people. What did the woman look like who came to your sliding door? OP said, I remember her being very skinny and tanned with a hair dyed platinum blonde. I also have a gun that I CC pretty much, conceal carry pretty much wherever it's legal, but never on campus. Yeah, basically everybody's just saying get cameras and stuff for sure. Another person said mask, hairnet, sunglasses, and hoodie sounds like someone's trying hard not to leave DNA somewhere. That's all super weird, and I'd be bothered by just that. When you add all of those things up that you described, I feel like something is definitely going on. I don't have any different or better advice than you've already received, but please be careful out there. Yeah, just inform everyone, police, campus police, do not go anywhere alone, put up the cameras, dash cam, door cam, what everybody said in here. I think that's all really good advice. Have some things on you that you can defend yourself with. If there's anything like on your car, on your dash, or like in your door handle, fucking run. Yeah, and honestly, just in general, for like people in general, do all those things, especially nowadays. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be just cognizant of all that stuff. I know it's not feasible for everybody to get cameras and put them everywhere. I'm just always paranoid at this point, but this is very scary. Hope that you stay safe and you're able to figure out what's going on. Oh, there's an update. Okay. Hey everyone, I am alive and well, but not exactly relieved. I got a lot of great advice on my first post and wanted to let you know what all has happened and what I've done. It's been a lot. Okay. The two incidents that I and most everyone else were concerned about were the tracker and the office visitor. First off, the owner of the tracker in my car has been identified and is totally harmless. Okay. I called Land Air C, and they told me that it was, in fact, the car dealership's device that somehow kept getting unplugged and plugged back in. I guess they assumed it was mine every time it was serviced. Okay. When I initially called them in December, the dealership swore up and down it wasn't theirs, so I'm really irritated, and they were so adamant in their denial. The Land Air C rep I spoke to was very understanding as to why this would be concerning, and even said he was surprised that the police didn't subpoena the company when I reported it. Regardless, that at least crosses the tracker off the list of issues. As for the office visitor, it's unfortunately an ongoing concern that has escalated. I called campus police last Monday, and they explained that my director had reported the guy to them already that day before I made my first post. Police didn't tell me much aside from the fact that his behavior seemed extremely unusual and that he disappeared once officers arrived to the building. They gave me the usual spiel about how I should call for a police escort if I feel unsafe, and had to get the rest from my director and one of my staff. Apparently, this guy had not only been hanging out around the building, but had been lingering for a long time at the bench just outside my office. I can't see it where I'm sitting at various points throughout the week, including when I was there. I also cleaned out that coffee machine thoroughly and put it back in the room. It doesn't really look like he messed with it. He came back Friday at almost exactly the same time as the previous week. By a stroke of sheer fucking luck, I was already in the back conference room before he saw me. I snapped the attached pic of him sneaking to a male staff member at the desk and quietly locked myself in my director's office. He was working working remotely again. Oh my God. I called campus PD and texted my director. I could hear the man and my staff talking briefly, and the guy left immediately. He didn't linger like he does with me at the desk. Both the arriving officer and the division leader, my director's boss, whom my director alerted, arrived quickly and knocked on the door, obviously concerned. The officer communicated to me that he will be found and trespassed. He has not shown up in our public trespass warning records, so I guess that went nowhere. That wasn't the end of it though. This Monday, we were expecting severe weather, so my campus was closed and remote work was permitted. My director, however, decided to work from the office. He saw the man again, but this time he was accompanied by 4 or 5 other men in the halls. My director is a very large man, so they scattered quickly when he barked at them to leave. He told me all this in my one-on-one with him on Tuesday morning. I still feel extremely uneasy about his apparent fixation on me, or at the very least, my office, and that he returned several times in alignment with my schedule. I've been having my boyfriend escort me to and from my night classes and my office, and will leverage a police or male staff escort if he is ever unavailable. No activity from this man since Tuesday. Since making the first post, I did some work back at my apartment as well. I asked the management office if my unit or building had a history of drug crime or any other reason it would be a point of interest, or at least more so than any other unit in my already not so great neighborhood. The manager is a different one from when I signed my lease back in May, and she found no notes about crime or suspicious activity in that unit. I did remember that I sometimes get mail addressed to someone who I presume is a previous occupant, but nothing in my OSINT repertoire came up with anything suspicious for his name. I've also purchased some pepper spray, set up a ring camera, I totally forgot I had one from when I moved in, and should be receiving a stun gun and window cams from Amazon soon. Good, that's great. Planning a range date with my boyfriend to put a couple hundred rounds through my Glock as well. But yeah, that's the less than comforting update to this whole situation. At least the tracker is out of the way, but I'm still so on edge with this guy and apparently the group he was in. I'm worried about what will happen if I run into him again, let alone that whole group. I don't know what else to do besides literally never being alone ever. Jeez, like the group? That's so scary. Like one man is something, but a group is just so scary. I'd say like don't go into work, but then you're alone in your apartment. So it's like, it's easy for me to be like, move, leave your job and move. But who's to say they won't find you at the new place or something like that? I think you're taking all the right precautions right now, and I just hope that they just leave and don't mess with you anymore. But very scary, very, very scary situation. Oh, I guess we can see a picture. Oh, that dude. So and what's this bag? I feel like he should just be arrested. Like next time he comes into the building, just call the police, not the campus police, but the police. It's so hard. I don't know exactly what to do in this situation, but people really, the police specifically, need to take stalking so much more seriously. And I know they do now more so than they did in the past, but it's just like, do something before something happens, you know? But I really hope that nothing happens to this person and that they'll be okay. I'm really glad that they're taking all the precautions they can. Yeah, and it's crazy also that the office is open to the public, like to a certain degree. I feel like in your situation, it should just be closed, no matter what. Like because of this situation, it's like, no, this office is actually closed to the public because this is happening, and they should just make that a thing for all the offices, because why is this allowed? What do you guys think? What would you do in this situation? I mean, I feel like she's doing everything right. Very scary situation though. But that is it. That's all I have for the creepy encounters. A lot scarier than I think, because it's real. Because it's real. These ones scare me because it's real. Let me know what other subreddits you guys would like me to read. But until I see you next time, please stay safe out there. All right, stay safe out there. And I love you. We'll see you in the next one. Okay?